Hi, this is Surya and welcome to another episode of Quilting in Your PJs. As usual, I do have my PJs on today and my mismatched socks. So let's get going. Today I have a Brother pe770 embroidery machine. Now I did not want an embroidery machine for a long time. Well, I kind of wanted one, but I kept saying to myself, what would I do with it? What will I do with an embroidery machine? You know, it seemed like all the designs that were available were kind of very, I don't know, grandma, and or either very juvenile or just not very exciting. And you know, but I've been thinking about a lot about the quilt as you go stuff, you know, and I love to quilt. So I'm going to try to do a little bit of quilt as you go, and if this machine doesn't prove to do well with that, I can at least, I think, do some embroidery quilt squares that I can piece together. And so I'm kind of excited about playing with this, and I've found some new designs online. Embroiderylibrary.com, and I think it's called Urban Threads. Has some really cool stuff, especially in their quilting section. So anyway, I'm going to get started with a hopefully quick and non-annoying unboxing video. I'm going to try not to, you know, drag it out too much, and just kind of be more helpful and quickly show you what's available with this machine. Now, what is all the crap that's on top of here that I have? Well, it's important. If you're going to buy an embroidery machine, you have to be ready for another investment. The machine's an investment in itself, but all the stuff that goes along with it, all the new notions and things, are going to set you back a little bit. So just be prepared for that. Now, I did find this thread right here from Thread Art on Amazon, and I believe it was like $28 a box for the kit. And there's 4 different kits. This is a jewel tone kit. It doesn't have the black and white, but it's got nice jewel tones, a lot of nice colors in there. But you can get the one with black and white too, and that one's coming tomorrow. Some of these things are still, I'm waiting for Amazon to bring them to the door. I got 3 different types of stabilizer to start with. The first one is tearaway. They say that's good for woven fabrics. The second one is cutaway stabilizer. They say that's good for knits. And the third one is the water-soluble stabilizer, which I guess you want to put on top of towels and different fabrics that might have a little trouble, you know, showing a uniform stitch on top. I'm still learning about all this stuff myself, but I have learned that you do need to get a bunch of stuff to start out with, just so you're not caught short and you don't have to, you know, make a trip out to, you know, Joann's or wherever at the last minute, you know, because you want to get going on using your machine. So there's, they look like tweezers, but these are little thread snips here. Yeah, these are some little thread snips, and for trimming your threads, you're going to have jump stitches when you do your embroidery, so you got to trim the jump stitches to keep your work neat. Needles, I got extra needles. You want to get some ballpoint needles for doing your t-shirts and things, and then you want to get you know, regular needles for doing you know, woven fabrics. So more needles on the way in the mail too. Sewer's aid, they say this is good for, you know, if you use a thread that might not be, you know, as agreeable as it should be with the machine. They say the sewer's aid helps it go through the machine easier. So I got some of that. We'll see how that works out. And anyway, let's get going with the unboxing here. I think pretty much I have everything I need. I ordered some applique scissors, and I ordered a thread stand, which is supposed to help your thread feed into the machine easier. Oh yes, and this stuff, bobbin thread. You need 90 weight bobbin thread, and this is the stuff I got from Amazon. And I guess you can also get preloaded bobbins. I'm seeing about, like, I'm on the Brother pe770 Facebook group because I'm all excited and nerding out on getting the embroidery machine, and so there's a lot of helpful people on there. So I joined, and like half of them seem to like preloaded bobbins. They're pre-wound. They're, you know, wound nice and neat and even. And the other half winds their own. And but so I decided I'm going to try and wind my own. So I got the bobbin thread. Okay, and one thing I forgot to mention is that you also need software. I mean, I guess you don't have to have software, but if you don't have software, you're going to be somewhat limited. You know, you're just going to use the designs that are on the machine, or take a design right straight, you know, onto your memory stick. And you won't be able to have any versatility with it. With the software, you can resize your images, you can make mirror images or rotate them, or, you know, do all kinds of things, and you'll have a lot more freedom with software. I bought Embroidery Essentials for 139 bucks, and but you can also get one that's a lot cheaper called So What Pro, and it's supposed to be very good too. I don't know much about it. I got the trial of it. I haven't tried that one yet. But you can get free trials of either one, see which one you like, and like I say, I guess you could do some embroidery without software for sure, probably, but you know, especially with the preloaded designs on the machine. But it's, you know, you're going to have a better time with software. So, forgot to mention that. That's your other, you know, big investment. Those two are the cheapest ones, but everybody has really good reviews about them. I haven't heard anybody say anything bad, really, about either one. It's just a matter of preference, and you can read about them online and see which one. And again, you know, you get a free trial, so it's a good deal. Definitely look into getting software. So, anyway, let's get this thing opened up. Alright, I'm kind of excited. Who doesn't like opening up a new box, right? Alright, looks like, oh, here's the machine cover. So that's cool. Keep the dust out. I understand with this machine it's very important to keep dust, lint, hair, thread, you know, out of it. So, you know, the more you can keep it protected, the better. And so that's a good thing. Here's our hoop. It, you know, is big enough for a 5x7 embroidery field. So there's that. And I ordered extra hoops. I guess you can get like a 5x12. I got that 5x12 one. And I'll be able to, you know, extend my embroidery a little farther. Now it's a 5x12 hoop, but it's what's called a repositionable hoop. So it's not going to embroider a bigger design all at once. You need to take the hoop off the machine and put it back on again, and then tell the machine to do the second part of your design. And there's some good YouTube videos on that from the experts, and so I'm excited about that. Trying that one out when it comes. It's coming in a few days. This is like a grid thing. I guess it helps you line up your your embroidery, you know, in the hoop. You know, make sure it's aligned and everything is going to land where you want it to land in your final design. And what else do we have here? Lots of instructions. I appreciate that. I need those. And power cord. And okay, this is important. This looks like it's going to have all the little bobbins and things. I want to see what's in here. Alright, a seam ripper. I usually just use the one that I buy at the fabric store. They're sharper, but you know, it's nice to have a spare. It gives you some needles. I think it looks like it's probably just gives you 2 needles here. And That's okay, you know, I bought extras. And oh, it gives you a nice little pair of scissors. That's good. I bought those nice little snips, so I'll keep these for my travel kit. Screwdriver for doing whatever you need to do there on the machine. A thread net, that's to keep, if you have thread that wants to just come off the spool too quickly, you can put a thread net over it. Looks like, oh good, there's, let's see, 1, 2, how many more? 3 bobbins. Oh, yeah, not too bad. So you can have, you know, two waiting in line for if you start to run out. Another screwdriver. Cleaning brush, and that's good for getting little hairs out of your bobbin case and stuff like that when you start up. And what else do we have? And thread spool caps, 2 sizes, one for little spools and one for big spools. And you know, that keeps your thread from getting caught in that little notch that the thread factory puts on the thread spools. So nifty. What's next? Get a whole roll of bobbin thread, so that's good. Alright, for the big reveal here, what do we got? This thing I think you're supposed to be real careful with when you handle it. It's the actual embroidery arm or unit, and I guess that snaps onto the machine, so I'm going to set this carefully elsewhere. And the machine itself. Okay, AC power cord goes here, on-off switch, USB port for importing your own designs or designs that you buy off the internet, Brother design card holder, and your hand wheel. On the top you've got your carry handle, you have your bobbin winding diagram, open the top cover, and you have your thread spool holder, you have your bobbin winder. Now they have numbered all the steps on the thread path to make it very easy to thread the machine. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Down here you have your quick set bobbin case. And over here we have the embroidery unit. Here on the right you have your LCD display and touch panel, and it's small, but I think it's organized really well. And then over here we have our thread cutter button, needle up down button, and your start and stop button. Okay, so you get your quick reference guide, and you also get your instruction manual, and that comes in other languages too. And with the quick reference guide, you get your quick reference, of course. And it also shows the built-in fonts, your frame patterns that are built into the machine, and you also get a directory of all the designs that are built into the machine and the colors that you need to complete them. So that's handy, don't toss that away. Alright, welcome back. So I'm just going to put the embroidery unit on. Looks like I have to move some stuff out of the way here a little bit. Alright. So this thing is just supposed to slide on and go into the little socket there. And that happened pretty easily. Alright, and then you can see this little symbol on the embroidery arm that says don't pick it up by the arm. So I am being careful to make sure I handle it from down here, or down here if I need to take it off or handle it. Okay, so I'm going to turn it on, and when you turn it on it says that it's going to warn you that the machine's going to move. Please touch the display. No, wait, no. Okay. Please touch the display, it says. Okay, well, I guess it's not going to quit doing that until I actually touch it. Oh, raise presser foot lever. Okay, now it says the carriage of the embroidery unit will move, and I hit OK. Okay, pretty snazzy. Alright, so next I think it's all about winding the bobbin, and here's the bobbin. There's one in the case here, so I'm just going to take that one out. And I'm going to follow the instruction book, not the quick reference guide for the bobbin, because I understand you have to take a little bit of care when you wind the bobbin on this machine so that it winds evenly and you don't have any problems when you get something all hooped up and need to embroider it. So I'm going to be careful. I'm going to follow the detailed instructions, not the quick reference guide. Alright, so I've never wound a bobbin on this machine before, so let's see how it goes. I just took the thread off of the spool here. It's kind of underneath the label on top here, and it's in one of those little notches, so you got to take it out of the little notch. And I'm going to remove this spool holder, and I look and I see that this spool holder is too small. If I try to wind the bobbin or embroider with that on there, thread's going to catch in that notch. It's going to create a mess. So I've got to find the right size spool holder or spool cover. Alright, so I found the right spool cap thing to go over the thread spool, and as you can see it overlaps the top there, which is important because you don't want your thread to get tangled up. And they say it'll get tangled up if you don't have the right one on there. So I'm going to put my spool of thread on, and it's supposed to go on in an underhanded way, not an overhanded way like a waterfall, but under and in front of the spool. That's how the thread's supposed to come off. And you put this spool cap on, and then it goes around number 1, and then down under this hook, and then up and around number 2, or back up to number 2, and then here's number 3 here, this metal clip. It's going to go under the metal clip. Yeah, I was a little confused because there's like a long elongated hole inside this metal clip, and I don't think the thread goes through that hole. I think it just goes under the clip. And we'll find out, right? So at this point you pinch the thread, and then you want to pull it under this little knob here. Not around the far side of it, but under the side that is facing you. And you want to feel a little bit of tension under there. You want to know that the thread has grabbed under that little disc there. Alright, so next I'm going to put the bobbin on the thing here. The bobbin has a little square notch in it. You line up that little square notch with the clip that comes off of the bobbin pin. And next they say, I'm going to pull a little more thread here. Okay, so you hold the thread with your fingers, with your left hand, and then you want to wind around 6 times. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I've never wound a bobbin like that before. I don't know why they do it that way, but that's what they're doing. Okay, and then you click that thing over. Actually, no, I skipped a step. There's these little arms that come off the gray disc here. You want to insert the thread into the little arm and then pull it, and that cuts the thread. And that's important because if you don't cut the thread, it can get wound up inside the thing. So then you move that thing over, and then you wind the bobbin. So, okay, this bobbin light here, not bobbin light, but the start-stop button on the machine down here is going to turn, there it is, it's going to turn yellow when you're ready to wind the bobbin. And you go ahead and push that, and it should wind the bobbin. Wish me luck. Winding bobbin thread, it says. You're supposed to stop before it gets too full. You know, when you see it starting to slow down, they say you need to stop the machine. So it's getting there. Okay, it started to slow down, so I quit. I guess if you try and push it, it gives you very uneven bobbin thread, and when you try to embroider, you can mess up. So as soon as I saw it slow down, I stopped. Let's hope I did it right. Next they say, you know, move this back over, snip your thread, take that off, and your bobbin is wound and ready to be installed. Alright, the quick set bobbin is pretty easy to load. So there's a little button here that you just slide over to the right, and this little window pops up, and you set that off to the side. And then you just want to make sure before you drop in your bobbin that the thread is coming off from this direction. If it's coming off from the other direction and you put it in there, problems abound. So don't do that. There's a little diagram right here that shows you the correct way to put it in, so if you ever forget, it's right there in front of you. So you just drop in the bobbin, and there's a little hook here, so the thread comes around the little hook, and then you go around this little mountain-shaped thing here, and then you pull the thread off to the right and it cuts it. And that's all there is to it. You put the little window back on and you are ready to go. Okay, so I think I'm ready to start trying out one of the designs here. And I'm just going to try out one of the designs that comes pre-installed in the machine. And then I will say a little bit about, you know, how to do the USB stick and import a design that you buy off the internet. But I thought, you know, for my first try, you know, I'll just try one of these little guys that they have in the book here. And I don't know, I kind of like these blue flowers here on top, so I'm going to give them a try and see what happens. Ultimately, I'm going to be doing a bunch of designs off the internet, you know, because that's what has attracted me to getting this machine. So, but anyway, like I say, I'm going to start with a design from the machine, and here I have hooped the fabric, and I'm going to take it apart and show you how I did it. And I have to admit that a little bit of bonding time was required for me and the hoop. We weren't quite getting along to begin with. And the main thing I found was that, there's my lens cap. Main thing I found, just let that hang there, I guess. Okay, is that it was this adjustment screw here. When you first start hooping it, you should have it loosened up enough so that you can get this inner hoop in the outer hoop. So that's what was driving me crazy. I had this a little too tight and it just didn't want to snap in. And then I guess if you have really thick fabrics, it can be fussy too. And sometimes people put stabilizer on the bottom and put that in the hoop, and then they float the fabric on top and they like pin it, or they do a basting stitch around with their software program to hold it down. So there's different ways you can do it. I'm not a hooping expert, so Like I say, this is my first hooping experience, and it was a little freaky at first, so I'm going to try it again for you guys and see if I can make it look somewhat desirable to do. Alright, so here's the outer hoop, and you know, you want it so this adjustment screw is toward you and that these little notches are pointed down towards your table. And then I've got stabilizer on the bottom, and I've got fabric on top of the stabilizer. And I'm doing a woven, just like a cotton fabric, like a quilting cotton. So I'm using the tearaway stabilizer. I think that's what I'm supposed to use. And so anyway, the thing with it was I didn't have this screw open enough. You want to kind of have this like nice and loose there to start with, and then worry about tightening it later. So there's two triangles. There's a little triangle there and a little triangle here. And so you just, you know, get the hoop lined up on your fabric. And I cut everything bigger, and I'm glad that I did cut it a little bit bigger, because otherwise it would probably slip out of the hoop. And so I just picked it up and put it in, and you know, it's my first time. I wish I could make this look easy. I'm sorry. Well, that wasn't so bad that time, because I did have that screw loosened up. And then they say you tighten it, and I haven't seen anybody else do it this way, but they say tighten it up so it's reasonably tight, and then take it out again gently. They say that's a good step to make sure the fabric goes in nice and tight. I'm not sure why, but anyway. So you line everything up again, push it down, and you, I guess you can tug a little bit on the corners. I think with delicate fabric you should just float it on top and not hoop it. You know, just hoop the stabilizer is what I'm hearing from people. But this looks like it's okay like this. So I'm just pushing it all in together. Hopefully it'll work. Wish me luck. Okay. So, and then I'm going to tighten this a little bit more, just so it's not crazy tight. But, and then they say it's supposed to be like a drum, like tight. Oh. Yeah, that's pretty drummy. Okay. Alright, so I'm going to thread the machine to get ready for our first color here. And, well, I have some thread in here already, and I'm going to take it out. They say when you take out the thread, you should snip it here and then pull it out from the bottom. You know, pull up your presser foot and then pull the thread out through the bottom. If you pull it out that direction, they say it helps to keep all the workings and the tension discs inside the machine free of lint and little bits of thread and stuff like that. If you pull it out from this direction, apparently it, you know, dirties up the machine over time. So because my spool of thread doesn't have anything for it to catch on the top, I'm not going to worry about using the little thread cap cover that goes on the top. I'm just going to put it on as is, and you know, I've heard that's okay to do, so that's what I'm going to do. And then so it's all numbered. You start by going around number 1, and then down around this little hook here, and then up around number 2, and then you just follow the arrows. There's little arrows and numbers. Up number 3, up around number 4, and there's a little window here. You make sure that you see that the little hook is in the window. If it's not, your machine won't thread properly. Alright, so down to number 5. It's all marked for you here, and then as you can see there's number 6 down here. And number 6 is just a little metal clip here. And the thread just slips behind that little metal clip. It kind of clicks behind there. And then over to number 7 right here, there's a little groove, and it just goes in that little groove. And then on the side of the machine there is a thread cutter, and just cuts the thread. Alright, so the thread cutter is right there, and then up here is your automatic needle threader, which I'll show you in just a second. Alright, so to use the automatic needle threader, you want to make sure that the presser foot is in the down position, and then you just pull down the lever all the way, and it makes a snapping sound. It goes really fast, and it threads your needle. There might be a little loop sticking out of the needle, but that's no big deal. You just pull out the loop, but it usually threads it pretty good. Okay, and then the last step there is they have you pass the thread through the presser foot after you thread the needle. And the presser foot it's like a hole, so I found it necessary to use tweezers. It's kind of awkward with my fingers. Alright, so I'm getting ready to put the hoop on the machine. I already did it once for practice, but let's see how well I do again. There's two knobs here sticking out, and there's a lever. And there's two notches here on the hoop, a front notch and a back notch. And you just want to carefully slide the hoop under the presser foot, and they want you to lift the presser foot up the extra little amount that they give you. There's like an extra little amount. You can lift it up there just to get the hoop under. And so front notch sits right on top of that first knob in front there, and then the back notch goes over the back notch, and you use this here, this little lever here. You pull that back. That way the hoop just snaps right on. I've heard a lot of people complaining, you know, online about how the hoop is hard to get on, and I don't know, mine went on like a breeze. That was so easy. Okay, so I'm ready to embroider, I think. Hopefully I'm doing everything right here. I'm new at this. So here are the embroidery patterns for the machine. This is the one I'm going to use just to make things simple for myself. So I hit that, and then there's these little arrows here, and I choose number 16 because that's what it was in the book. There it is, number 16. And it says to use cornflower blue, but I don't have their same colors, so I just chose colors out of my box, you know, and used my eye as best I could. So it's not going to match perfectly, but we'll see what happens. So cornflower blue, I guess that says that's the first step, and it shows me which pieces it's going to do. And so I think I just have to push start now, but for some reason I can't. Presser foot. That was a good guess. So, okay, now maybe it will work. So I'm gonna, let's hope so. Okay, see what happens. Oh, I actually want to stop it because I want to check the speed. Let me see if it lets me check the speed. Let's see. I want 350 stitches per minute instead of 650. They say, especially if you're using some of the lower price threads, which I'm using more of an economy thread that gets good reviews, but it's an economy thread, and so I'm going to go to 350 stitches per minute. That way the machine won't get overwhelmed, and will hopefully handle the thread okay. So let's see if I can go back now to my design. Yeah. And hit start again, and hopefully it'll pick up where it left off. I'm just guessing. I think it did. Yeah. Pretty smart machine. Sounds okay so far. Alright. So it started out, and I'll see you in a minute. Alright, it's trucking along, so no problem so far. It looks nice. Okay, so that's the end of the first color, and it just stopped and it tells me to put the next color in. So I'm going to clip my thread at the top of the machine, pull it out, and put in the new color. See how it goes. Okay, so the machine told me it was finished sewing, and so I said okay and clicked OK, and I am really happy with how it came out. Now, I did two designs. The top one I messed up, obviously, and the bottom one is the one that came out right. And I will tell you what I did wrong, so maybe you won't do it. I noticed, first of all, that with these, you know, homemade thread holders that I tried to use here, first this one and then this one, okay, the bottom of this glass is convex, so it was causing that little spool of thread to lean against the wall of the glass, which was causing it to, you know, hang up. So it was causing a tension problem. For some reason the coffee cup didn't work. It was still hanging up. And I found, coming over here, that just doing it this way without the little cap on was the best route, because when I tried these guys, I did get some thread breakage, and you know, I was not sure what was going on, but yeah, that's what was happening. It was hanging up. Oh, and the other thing I did wrong, it wasn't just those that caused it, but also you have to make sure you hit every step of your thread path. And I didn't hit the very last one. When I changed, my first color went through just fine, as you saw, but when I changed to the second color, I didn't pull the thread through the presser foot. You have to pull it through and under the presser foot before you start. And so, thread breakage, anyway. But I ended up with a good design, and I will say that it's kind of addicting. And I know you don't have to babysit the machine, but I was kind of mesmerized and just couldn't help but watching it go through all its different colors and patterns. Okay, so what I learned from this experience is if you're threading your machine, you know, and you thread with the presser foot up so the thread can move through the thread path smoothly, if you feel any snugness at any spot, you know, investigate it. Because once you get to the end of that thread path and you're done threading, go ahead and just pull on the thread a little bit, and it should come out of the machine as smooth as silk. You shouldn't feel any tugging or snugness. If you do, investigate it and see, you know, maybe you missed a step, or, you know, something is hanging up on something. Something's not happy somewhere. And that will prevent thread breakage. Okay, and because I had that screw up earlier with the machine, you know, I was like, gosh, what do I do? Can I just keep moving on the design, you know, because the thread broke and the needle kept going forward, and so there were all these, you know, little needle holes in the fabric, and I thought, well, how do I get back to where I started? And excuse me, apparently you can. So so find my pattern, you know, and say I was doing that one. Well, you can hit this adjust, and there's like a, I don't know if you can see it because my camera's trying to focus. Okay, there's a needle with a plus and minus. That is your stitches, and you can go plus or minus. You can back up or go forward, and you just keep backing up until you see where your stitches left off. I was really happy to discover that. So, you know, if you mess up, you know, it's not the end of the world. You know, you can just back up and start over again.